All right, hello there, the internet. We just had Bristol weekend, but actually, before we even get into Bristol, I want to flash back a week to Kansas because we didn't get a podcast episode out. We had a couple things pop up, as in we were busy, and the second we got back from Kansas, you immediately left again for work, so we couldn't record a podcast during the week. So
Yeah.
just before we get into Bristol, I want to get into Kansas really fast and say that over the Kansas weekend, we got to go to Kansas and we got to help out Howie DiSavino and Austin Terrio and Alpha Prime in their development program. And I just want to make it clear, it was a professional gig that we picked up because we have a history of doing professional gigs here and there. And so they reached out for a little bit of help, and we just want to thank everybody over at Howie DiSavino Racing, Austin Terrio Racing Enterprises, and Alpha Prime for giving us the opportunity to help out with that weekend. It was a lot of fun for us. We can't post anything from Saturday because of what we were doing, but even then, it was a wonderful time, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity that we got to do in Kansas last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very fun. Glad we got to be able to do that. So yeah, very thankful, and hopefully there's more opportunities to come.
Yeah, because I know we're doing Vegas because we do Vegas every single year, but
Yeah.
hopefully we get some more opportunities coming down the pipeline because ultimately that's kind of what Chris and I want to do is we want to we hold the podcast right now because that's kind of what we can do, but ultimately we want to help cover the sport. We want to help get involved and help cover the sport and bring different perspectives to the fans, which is why I like the podcast format that we have, where it's just like I'm just kind of going to call things how I see it because obviously we both have different opinions on things. We have different opinions than other people, so it gives a unique perspective on what's going on around the track, and that's kind of what I want to bring to the sport. And so getting opportunities to go help drivers like Howie and people like Austin Terrio and Alpha Prime is big for us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it definitely is big. But yeah, so it was definitely a lot of fun. But I mean, I guess we can put a link in the video that they posted.
Oh,
So
yeah.
They did post it to YouTube, so maybe we can put that in the description.
Oh, 100%.
Just
Good
kinda
thing you
give
said that
people,
because I did not think about
Yeah.
that. So yeah, if you want to see what Chris and I helped work on, in the description below this, I'm going to drop a link to Howie DiSavino's YouTube channel. You can see some of the clips that we shot for them in the video that we helped them make. Also another thing that I'm going to plug here, we made a website now. So also if you guys want to bop on over to DonniehueVargasRacing.com, you can kind of check out. It's a very new website. Like we just launched it, but we put some of our work over there. Kind of told you guys a little bit about ourselves, and so we also have Donnie Vargas Racing that just launched, and so we're trying to get our names out there a little bit now.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. Very thankful for everybody at Alpha Prime, for the hospitality. Everybody there was really nice. But just very unfortunate that the race kind of ended early because of rain. But it was still fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only disappointing thing about the weekend was the rain, and boy did I get caught with my pants down out there in the rain.
Yeah, it came pouring. Like it was just a few raindrops, and then it just poured like crazy. So my camera gear got wet, but luckily nothing damaged, or everything was still working. So, but yeah, crazy end to that race.
Yeah, I was gonna say because thankfully, because I was up in turn 4 when it started raining, but thankfully I was like halfway up the grandstand stairs to get back inside when it actually poured, because I knew it was sprinkling, so I didn't want to just walk down the front stretch. So I was like, okay, I know it's raining, so I'm gonna go under the grandstands and work my way back. I was like halfway up the stairs when the clouds opened up, so I got trapped under the grandstand. So I was like,
Aw.
I was able to get back though. I went and I got a poncho from some of the security guards, and I was able to make my way back to the infield. But I really got caught with my pants down out there. I was not ready for it to start raining that heavily that fast.
Yeah, no, it picked up a lot. Especially, I mean, when you were, I think 3 and 4.
Yeah, no, it was it was bad over there, and I think that's just because I'm used to Vegas rain, where it kind of casually starts raining and then it like slowly starts up and fades away. Um, that Midwest rain hits different.
Yeah, it was more of like a monsoon.
It just appeared and it never went away.
It just said, "I'm here," and that's that.
You know, for real, it really did. It's like it. You know, it rained for the rest of the day. Like it didn't stop raining the rest of the day. Like it was raining when we left the track.
I remember looking at the forecast even before the race. I saw it was supposed to rain from like 4 all the way till like midnight.
And it did, because like when you were knocked out in the hotel room, I was on the phone with my mom outside, and it was still sprinkling. Like it just never stopped raining. We got food. We went back to the hotel. We sorted through our photos and everything, and the entire time it never stopped raining. I was like, wow, I've never seen it rain this long in my life.
Yeah, that was pouring. It was pouring like crazy.
I will say the weather in Kansas, beautiful.
It's nicer.
It's so much nicer than being over here in Vegas. Like there were trees, there was grass, it was great. Like it wasn't hot as balls outside. I didn't want to die. It was all around. It was just Kansas in general was just a wonderful trip.
Nice weather. I mean, during the summer, I've been in like Oklahoma, but I mean the weather was nice. It was perfect, even for the race too.
Mm-hmm. Can I give a controversial statement really fast, Chris?
Sure.
So we went to Zaxby's. I've never had Zaxby's before in my life, and so I had Zaxby's for the first time. And then when I came back from Kansas, I think like 2 days after we got back, I went to Canes back here in Vegas. For those of you listening who don't know, Canes Chicken and Zaxby's Chicken are essentially the exact same thing. One's just a West Coast chain. The other one, I guess, is a Midwestern chain or Southern chain. But they're essentially the exact same thing. They're both like kind of fast food chicken places. And my controversial statement is I like Zaxby's way more than I like Canes.
I still like Canes.
You know,
I
still
think
like
Canes is starting to branch out on the East Coast.
Okay,
I've seen a couple over there, but no, I like Canes. I don't know. For me, it's just the sauce that keeps me going.
I don't know. Even the Zaxby sauce for me was a little bit better than the Canes sauce. Like I don't. Like that's my crucifixion statement right there. Is like if I had Zaxby's and Canes in a close enough time frame that I feel like I could accurately compare the two, and maybe it was just that we were in Kansas and the Zaxby's probably was able to get like fresher chicken and stuff. But like I don't know, that Zaxby's chicken hit different. It was really good.
yeah, it was really good, but I still have to give Canes the win.
Okay, I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on this one, Chief, because that was some good ass chicken that I got at Zaxby's.
I don't know.
The bread, on the other hand, I'll have to give it to Canes. Like when it comes to bread game, Canes hands down.
I mean, it was just bread.
It really was. They just handed us a piece of bread, and then they burnt yours. So like,
and they burnt mine. They said, "You know what? Let me give this guy the worst piece of the bread." Like they literally just took like a loaf of bread, cooked it for a little bit, and be like, "Here you go. Here's your Texas toast."
No, they really did. So it's like that's my only complaint for the Zaxby's. That I will say that. Like the chicken, phenomenal. The bread was literally just a piece of bread that they slightly burnt. So like that's my only complaint for the Zaxby's, is that when it comes to the bread game, Canes wins by a landslide. But when it comes to the chicken game, I'm gonna give Zaxby's the edge.
I mean, their fries were pretty good too. I don't know. Their cane sauce didn't. Not their cane sauce, but their signature sauce didn't hit the same.
Okay. You know what? Fair enough. I'll accept that. Maybe.
But I mean, the food there did taste fresh. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think it's because Kansas City. I think there's more farms in the area, so I'm pretty sure it was just the fresher chicken. But
Yeah.
you know that helps. That helps, having the fresh chicken like right on your doorstep. So, but yeah, that's my controversial statement. Is I like Zaxby's more than I like Canes. Aside from the bread, I will take Canes bread any day of the week.
Now Bojangles is next.
Bojangles is next. I need to go to Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll fucking we're gonna go to Bojangles, and then we're gonna go to Zaxby's, and then we're gonna go to Canes in like a span of a couple days, and then I can accurately decipher which fast food chicken place is the best. So
We'll determine it right then and there.
yes. So next on the bucket list is the Bojangles. But aside from
like
Zaxby's,
Bojangles is like it's good, but it's like if you're going for just like that biscuit sandwich, I would say that's the best thing.
okay. So yeah, because you've been to same thing. I have not been to a Bojangles either because I've never been down south. I've never even seen a Bojangles, and so that's gonna be fun when I get the chance to eat at a Bojangles.
Yeah, it was good.
But even like besides Zaxby's, what's funny to me about the Kansas Speedway is that maybe this is also just like a West Coast thing. 'Cause I've never been to the Auto Club either. I've driven past the Auto Club, so I know it's in like the middle of the fucking city, and I thought that was funny with the Auto Club. But I'm used to racetracks just being out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere because that's just how it is over here on the West Coast. Because like Las Vegas Motor Speedway is like out towards Nellis Air Force Base, so it's like you have to drive outside of Las Vegas to get to the Speedway. It's not far outside of Vegas. It's like probably like once you leave the outskirts of Vegas, it's probably like 15 minutes if that. But it's still like not in the city. It's like on the outskirts of Vegas. You go to somewhere like Phoenix, and it's like the same thing. It's like it's not in the town, but it's like outside the town. And so it's like racetracks over here, like in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. We go to Kansas Speedway, and it's it's right next to a fucking mall. It basically is the mall. Whoops. Hello, Chris.
I can hear you.
You can
Sorry,
hear me
the audio was like cutting out, but I heard you.
now? Oh, okay, you could hear me still? I was like, why are you calling me back?
Yeah.
I didn't realize the call dropped. Okay.
But yeah, no.
So you got what I was
about
saying?
the Kansas. Yeah, the whole Kansas, like how it's kind of like Auto Club, where it's like there's a mall outside of it.
It's part of the mall, and that's also what cracked me up in the car when we were driving the Speedway. It's like, you know how like a lot of the malls, they have those giant like concrete signs out front that kind of tell you what stores are in the mall?
Yeah.
Like Kansas was listed on that, and I thought that was really funny that the Speedway was on like the list of things for the mall because it's literally right there. It's like the Kansas Speedway is across the street from the mall.
It felt just like Fontana, because like right outside Fontana, it's like a mall.
Yeah, so it's like because I've driven past Fontana, I've never actually attended a race there, but like it's just funny to me when racetracks are right in the middle because because every racetrack I've ever been to before I went to Kansas, the racetrack has been like in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. It's just been like outside of a town or something, just like on the outskirts
Of nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kansas and an Auto Club, they're just like the Mall of America.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for Auto Club because it's like it's kind of just like LA itself is just a giant ass city. It's just outside LA, and just as populated as that area is, I can see why the Auto Club's in the middle of it. But it was just funny for me that Kansas was like part of the mall.
They're like, what do you guys want to do? Let's go to the mall and go to Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, we'll get to Kansas Speedway and we'll pick out some Zaxby's. That bump, though, going to the Zaxby's.
That hurt.
Fucking sent us to heaven, that bump that was outside the driveway.
I saw Jesus.
Yeah, we hit the bump, but we saw Jesus. Are you sure it wasn't just me in the mirror?
It probably was.
It's like, I saw Jesus. No, that's just Michael.
It was just Michael.
Yeah. But, yeah, God, the Kansas trip in general was so much fun.
It was. I actually had a lot of fun. And it went by really quick, too.
It did. I don't think the rain helped.
I think it's just the fact that we landed Saturday. And then got there Friday. Or no, got there Saturday morning, left Monday morning.
Yeah. You slept for a while, too, because you were knocked the fuck out when we got back to the hotel, I think, Sunday night? Saturday night, yeah. Like, we went through all of our photos and stuff and sent them over. And then you immediately went and laid on the bed and clocked out. So.
I clocked out early. Yeah, because I was dead tired. Because I think I slept maybe 2 hours on that flight.
Oh, me too. Like, I think we got the exact same amount of sleep, but for some reason I'm just used to not sleeping, and so I don't think I went to bed until like almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you were knocked out around 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think 8 or 9 o'clock I knocked out, and then I woke up like around maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then kind of woke up in and out of sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
It was a fun time. Can't wait to do it again. So, there was Kansas. Once again, just want to really give a huge thank you to Howie DiSavino Racing, Austin Terrio's development program, and Alpha Prime for giving us that opportunity to come down there and kind of expand on our knowledge of covering race events. And so once again, want to make it clear, it was not a fan thing. It was very much a business deal because Chris and I have a history of covering racing, specifically in Las Vegas. And so if you're looking for a fan thing like that, you're in the wrong place. But it was very much a professional gig. They reached out to us. We had nothing to do with it initially. And so it's just one of those things where we hit our grind and we got lucky. And so can't wait for the next opportunity to come around. And so just a huge thank you to everybody involved over there. And with that, Bristol happened yesterday.
The cluster mess.
Bristol was a thing.
I mean, I thought it was going to be like a snooze fest like Martinsville, but yeah, we were wrong.
I mean, here's the thing. The part, I feel like if all the issues that happened didn't happen, Bristol kind of would have been a boring race. Because, like, what the drivers were saying was painfully obvious, too. Like, it was very difficult to pass. Yeah. Everybody just kind of got stacked up. I think
somebody said there's a total of, like, 4 passes.
Under green.
During green flag runs.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, yeah, I think without all without the controversy, it would have been a snooze race.
So, thank God for the controversy, because that really kept me on my toes. I was like, damn, everyone's just fucking falling apart out here. Like,
because at first it was just all the Fords just, like, popping tires, like, left and right, and then Toyota decided to lose, power steering, and then Kyle's motor just decided to, expire.
What blows my mind about the power steering Toyota problem is that they all of them in the same lap. I think it was like Bubba Wallace and Ty Gibbs in the exact same lap, and then I think Martin Truex broke like 10 laps later.
Yeah,
it couldn't have been any longer than 10 laps after that.
So it had to do with something getting too hot. I heard somebody said that the temperature was getting too hot, so it just popped the line out and spilled the oil everywhere. I think that's what probably caused it. Yeah,
because I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, it is weird.
I mean, and if I have seen it, it's been a while.
Yeah. But, yeah, and the whole Kyle thing, like, I don't know. It's just it's two bad races within 3 weeks. Like, he's had a motor go out at Darlington. He's had a motor go out at Bristol. I mean, Kansas wasn't really a mechanical thing. It just, got a flat.
Just lost it at Bristol.
Had trouble getting back on the... Yeah. So, it's just looks
That's
really
been
cool
the narrative of Kyle Busch this season, though.
Yeah.
But it looks like... Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. No, it's just very, very disappointing because he's had two bad races that are out of his control.
Yeah, and what I noticed with the Kyle Busch engine problem is that they were both the exact same thing, it looks like to me, because when he blew it at Darlington, it was all that smoke coming out of the exhaust. It's almost like nothing was coming out of the engine. It was all coming out of the exhaust. And then now we flash forward to Bristol, and it's the exact same thing. And so, but I do remember at Darlington, he was complaining about a transmission problem. Do you think it's the same thing that happened here at Bristol? So I don't think there was ever an official explanation as to what happened that I saw. Anyway.
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like with Darlington, it was more of a transmission thing because they were shifting a lot. Yeah. Bristol, they weren't really shifting that much. I would say it was just
looks like the same blow up for me. Damn.
But there was a lot more oil though.
I was gonna say it was dumping out of the exhaust.
Like puddles. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something you don't come back from, and so that was, and then just the way the race played out knocked him out of the playoffs, and so Harvick was in a must-win. He couldn't pull that off. Kyle Busch had an engine problem on top of everything else. You know what? the best thing almost happened to Kyle Busch because immediately after he blew his engine, both Reddick and Dillon got in an accident. I think the only thing that really went down, so Kyle needed both of them to DNF, but Austin was out, but Reddick was able to continue. And then with the two 2311 cars coming back on track, that pretty much just kind of sealed Kyle's fate of being eliminated from the playoffs. Like there was nothing he could do at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it sucks, but what can you do?
Just move on to the next one.
Yeah, it just kind of sums up his year. It's just been a lot of downs, not a lot of ups. So hopefully next year he can kind of rebound with that new team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's news that broke also while we've been absent is Kyle Busch is now going to be driving the number 8 RCR. So where do you that big
of a Hot Wheels?
Yeah, because Hot Wheels responded to that, and so that tells me Hot Wheels is going to be at least some kind of involved in some way. They may not be a huge sponsor, but they're at least kind of involved.
Yeah.
Which now opens up the question, what happens with Tyler Reddick if he's not driving the 8 car? Because my initial thought was, they're going to put him in the 31. They're going to bring the 31 back. And then I remembered that the 31 is being used by Colleague right now. And so you said they're probably going to bring back the 33.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know they said on the press conference that he has a third charter. So I don't know if it's going to be like a lease, or he just leases that charter for a year, and then once Reddick's out, he just, gives it back, or if he's just gonna buy it and then use it for Austin Hill when he moves up to the Cup Series.
That honestly might be what happens. I think they're gonna buy the third charter, go back to a 3-car team, and when Reddick goes out the door, they're gonna put Hill in the car. That just seems like the most realistic and plausible plan.
Yeah.
But, the way these silly seasons go.
He's already done a couple Cup Series starts.
Yeah, because he ran the 33 before. Austin Hill.
Yeah, this
a couple times this year. Yeah. What races were those? I can't even remember what races they were.
I know one of them was Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that was the debut, wasn't it? The debut was Michigan. And I
think the debut was Michigan, but I can't remember if the other one was Daytona. I think it was Daytona.
I think it was Daytona. That sounds right. I can't remember. It was a very underwhelming debut. They made the announcement and then was quiet after that, and so I can't remember what he did. It was very
I do remember Michigan because that was what I think his first start was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
but the way these silly seasons are going, woof.
Yeah, a lot of crazy outcomes. So
yeah,
we'll see. I know a lot of people were saying that Reddick was going to go to 2311 early, but we'll see.
Doesn't look like it's the case.
But now you have 2 drivers pretty much guaranteed a spot. So Kyle's no longer going to 2311. Reddick's no longer going to 2311. And then with Kurt Busch in the air.
Oh yeah, because we don't know if Kurt's coming back or not. And here's another thing too.
And then
Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah, I was gonna say the 18 is now open, which speculation is saying that they're gonna put Ty Gibbs in the 18, but there's been no announcement yet. There's been nothing official, and so it's plausible that they put Gibbs in the 18, but I'm not sure. But another thing that comes up under the scenario that Joe Gibbs does put Ty Gibbs in the 18 car, Braden Jones just announced recently that he's going to the 9 car for Junior Motorsports, and so that leaves, I think the only driver Joe Gibbs has now over there is Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
And so do you think they put Sammy Smith in the 18 car or the 54 or something?
They might put Sammy Smith in because, he's only running a part-time schedule.
Yeah, so it's I'm thinking what's going on is...
But I don't know.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm thinking they might put Sammy Smith in for the 19. Yeah, there's and we're running out of races too, so it's I think a lot of these might happen over the off season because Joe Gibbs Racing right now is in shambles in terms of what they got going on over there. They just lost Kyle Busch. We currently have no replacement for the 18. It's looking like it's going to be Ty Gibbs. Just Toyota Racing right now is just wow.
And there's no saying if John Hunter's going to go with KBM with Chevrolet or if Chandler Smith's going to go with Chevrolet.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about.
So,
Yeah, Toyota Racing right now is just in like a huge pickle because it's like they have yeah, because he just lost Kyle Busch, which means they're losing Kyle Busch Motorsports, which now means Toyota has two drivers that they could potentially lose, or they have to move it to a different team. But I don't think there's any open seats for any Toyota truck teams right now because I think the only other Toyota truck team that's full time is ThorSport, and they're full.
yeah. So I don't know if they might move John Hunter to Joe Gibbs, or if they're gonna move Chandler Smith to Joe Gibbs. It's so hard to tell.
There's so many drivers right now all over. But yeah, because then now we don't know if Kurt's coming back, which means the 45 seat is open. Which means if they we got Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, and John Hunter. I mean, potentially they all could re-sign with Chevrolet, and there would be no changes to the KBM roster. But if they don't re-sign with Chevrolet, that leaves Kyle Busch now in a weird predicament where it's like if they continue to be Toyota development drivers, now KBM has no drivers for next year. So it's like, what are we doing, guys? There's such a mess right now over there. And so I'm really curious to see how most of this plays out because right now it's like there's no clear answer to what's happening anywhere. Because Toyota losing Kyle Busch indirectly is going to have some huge implications to Toyota Racing.
Yeah, it is. Because not only are you losing your biggest Cup driver, but you're losing your biggest development program.
Yeah, because that's a ton of drivers now at the door. Because if they don't have anywhere to put them, then they just lost all of those drivers. Because it's like I was saying, I think the only other big Toyota team in the trucks right now is ThorSport. And I don't see ThorSport making any changes anytime soon because they're doing just fine how they are. Because Matt Crafton isn't going to retire. Grant Enfinger is still doing well. It's like all the ThorSport drivers, like they have young drivers that they can lean on. And so Toyota was really using KBM as a development team like they always have. Like Kyle Busch Motorsports has always been the team where all these new young drivers go to. And so now that Kyle Busch is gone from Toyota, they're going to change to Chevrolet, and so now that puts all of those drivers, and it puts TRD in a very particular bubble of now they got nowhere to put these drivers, and if they can't find anywhere to put the drivers, those drivers will potentially sign with Chevy, and then they've just lost 3 development drivers.
Yeah, yeah, and if you think about it, like some of the biggest sponsorship deals with KBM, like they're affiliated with Toyota, like JBL is affiliated with Toyota. Safe Life, they're pretty much using like their main vehicle as a Toyota, so it's gonna be tricky.
It's gonna be messy. Kyle Busch has got a lot going on right now, and TRD and Chevy. Oh my God, they're like, no, this move. I didn't even realize the gravity of this move until we're having this conversation right now. The amount of implications this is gonna have on like the truck garage is incredible.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he'll probably keep a couple, but, I mean, there's going to be some teams that are going to be kind of booted out the door and then probably going to another team. Because I have a feeling Chandler Smith might end up going to Joe Gibbs in the Xfinity. And then same with John Hunter. I mean, he might go to Joe Gibbs. But Corey Heim, I think he might stay. I don't know.
You think Corey Heim might re-sign with Chevy and stay with KBM?
I think so.
Okay, because I realized that too, because Joe Gibbs Racing has a lot of open seats, because we know the 19 car is open right now, because Brandon Jones just left. And if Ty Gibbs moves to Cup, that leaves the 54 open. But the other problem is we have Sammy Smith in the mix too, so there's a chance that Sammy Smith takes over the 19 or the 54, because I think the 18 is supposed to be the car that all the Cup drivers share. And so I don't think they'll put, if they keep Sammy Smith part-time, they'll keep him in the 18. But if they move Sammy Smith to full-time, he's going to have to go to the 19 or the 54, depending on if Ty Gibbs does move to Cup or not.
And Kyle also has an ARCA team, too.
That's true, but I don't see them bumping anybody down to ARCA. Because
no, I mean, like, he has Sammy Smith in the ARCA series, so, I mean...
That's true.
He might be able to find somebody to put in there. I mean,
that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, wow. There's a lot going on right now that we have. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Kyle Busch moving to Richard Childress.
So, I mean,
there's so much going on with that.
who knows if Sammy Smith might go to Joe Gibbs. He might stay with KBM.
That's true. That might be what happens if, yeah, Sammy Smith might go to KBM next year, full time truck, along with
The way I see it, he doesn't have anything that's kind of like affiliated with Toyota, because I mean he has Pilot and he has TMC. Pilot has always been with Michael Annett. But the trickiest thing is that, like, you know, you have, like I said, Safelite and JBL. Those are like two big like Toyota sponsorships, so it's kind of hard to like bring them over to
they
Chevrolet.
might lose those guys. But yeah, you know, you're right, because Pilot's always been sponsored on a Chevrolet too, because Michael Annett always drove a Chevy. Because he drove for, who was it? Was it H. Scott? Because he drove for H. Scott for no, it was Tommy Baldwin. He drove for Tommy Baldwin for a little bit in the Cup Series, sponsored by Pilot. And then when he moved to Junior Motorsports, those are all Chevy teams. And so I think Pilot moving to Toyota is a reason move. So I don't think Pilot would have too much of a debate moving back to Chevrolet with Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
Because they already have that history.
Yeah. So I think Sammy Smith might stay, but as far as John Hunter and Chandler Smith, I don't think they're more likely to stay. I think because John Hunter's been, you know, with the 26, he's been with Joe Gibbs. I mean, so has Sammy Smith, but they've been affiliated with Toyota more.
Yeah, because I'm remembering that too. Because what team is the 26? What team is that? I don't even know. On the Xfinity side of things, because I know John Hunter's been driving that car quite a bit. I think his dad was supposed to race it recently, but I don't even know what team that is.
SHR. Sam Hunt Racing.
Oh, I was like SHR. I was like Stuart Haas. I was like, you know what? Sam Hunt Racing. Okay, yeah, okay. I was like, that can't be right. But yeah, I mean, and that 26 car wasn't terrible either. Like, they've been actually putting together good races when they're there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts here that we have yet to just barely uncover. But even then, that's the end of an era for Joe Gibbs Racing. Like, Kyle Busch was probably one of their most dominant drivers throughout the run of him being there. I think he was the most dominant driver, because I don't even think Denny Hamlin was able to put up the numbers Kyle Busch was able to put up.
Yeah. Do you think Joe Gibbs will try to get with Denny Hamlin as far as like creating a development program?
That is very up in the air. I am not sure, because I know Denny Hamlin already has
maybe Denny
a Cup
Hamlin
team.
Starting his own truck team, like expanding 2311 to the Truck Series.
I don't think they're there yet, honestly. I think they're.
Because I mean, it's pretty big for them to kind of go to Cup.
It is big, which is why I'm saying I don't think they're going to bother with the truck team, because if they're focused on developing Bubba Wallace, the Cup Series, I don't think they're going to divert funds to the trucks just yet.
Yeah.
I think they have to work out the kinks on the Cup side before they even think about starting a truck team.
Maybe Sam Hunt. They try maybe doing a partnership with them.
That's possible. I see that happening. Getting Sam Hunt Racing like a full-time gig in the truck series. I see that happening, but I don't know. There's just a lot there, and like, I think this is where Toyota Racing is now in a weird bubble, because Toyota Racing has always had a very small field of cars and stuff.
Well, not only that, but it's just like they've had it to where it's like they had it good with Kyle, because they're like, okay, well, we can just kind of rely on KBM to be our development program. They never really had to like venture out to other teams. I mean, they had like other teams here and there, but
yeah, I mean,
like, it's huge. It's like you're losing your biggest development program to Chevy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like they've always had a very small flock of cars and teams, and they've always just relied, like you said, they've always relied on KBM to filter through their development drivers and get them up into Xfinity and Cup, and now they've lost that. Toyota has essentially lost their development program because of Kyle Busch leaving.
Yeah.
And so they got to figure something out real fucking fast, or Toyota's going to be in a world of hurt. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very tricky. Because, I mean, they have some choices, but they don't have a lot.
Do they really? Because I think the only other Toyota team right now is DGR Crosley, and I think their doors are full too.
DGR? No, they went to Ford.
Oh, that's right. They did go to Ford. Wow, what year am I living in? They used to be Toyota.
They lost quite a few teams now.
That's
now,
right.
The only Toyota they have.
Is ThorSport the only fucking other Toyota team in the Truck Series right now?
No, there's another.
That can't
team.
be right.
I forgot who they were.
It's fuck. Because I know Parker Kligerman drives. Kligerman's in a Toyota, but that's not. That's a part-time. Henderson Motorsports is only part-time. Yeah, and that's just Henderson. Let me see. I'm looking at the thing now. Yeah, because that's ThorSport. Who does Stuart Friesen drive for? He drives for his own team, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, you got Stuart Friesen.
Yeah, because he drives for his own team though, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, the only because these other truck teams are like smaller truck teams. So like the only like other competitive big truck team for Toyota is ThorSport. That's it. That's all they have.
They have On Point Motorsports, but I think they're still a small team.
Yeah, no, because I'm looking at I'm just looking at the results from Bristol the other night. I'm looking at what teams are driving Toyotas, and like, yeah, ThorSport's full because I think ThorSport already fields 5 trucks, don't they?
ThorSport, I think they do 4.
No, they have 5 trucks. I'm pretty sure because they run the 66, the 88, the 98.
And you have the 61,
the 99, and the 61. So yeah, ThorSport's full because they run 5 trucks.
You have the 61 of Hattori Racing too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Hattori Racing. So it's like, I mean, they could do something with Hattori, but I don't think Hattori has any open seats either because I think they're going to be sticking with Ankrum and Purdy for now. And so yeah, Toyota's just fucked right now because their only development team was KBM and they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's crazy.
Oh no, because what are their Xfinity teams? Because I think Xfinity is only Joe Gibbs Racing and then the smaller ones. Because it's Sam Hunt Racing and Joe Gibbs. I think those are the only Xfinity Toyota teams. Yeah. Aside from MBM, but MBM is, they don't even run. No, they do run the full schedule, but they're not really an officially backed team for everything.
They
so
have
like
part-time drivers. It's a lot of driver swaps.
Yeah, for MBM. So goddamn, yeah, Toyota's just really in a huge pickle right now. I think that's why when the articles are coming out where I said they can't afford to lose Kyle Busch, I think this is why, because I think they realized if they had lost Kyle Busch, they're just fucked because they have nothing else to lie back on. Yeah, because the only Toyota teams in the Cup Series are 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing, and then you fall back to Toyota. I mean, to the Xfinity Series, it's the same thing. It's just Joe Gibbs Racing and Sam Hunt Racing. And Sam Hunt's a very new team. They don't have the equipment that Joe Gibbs has. It's like they're not running terribly, but they're not really a race-winning team yet. Then you drop into the Truck Series, and they're really fucked because all of those teams are full.
Yeah. Yeah, you're running out of teams here because Xfinity you don't have a lot of teams. Trucks, you have some teams, but I mean you only have one main team. You can kind of go
and
off
they're
of.
full.
They're already full.
Yeah, no, Toyota is in a very interesting predicament at the moment, so it's really going to be interesting to see how they deal with the loss of Kyle Busch because they got to figure out what they're going to do about their development drivers now.
Yeah.
Do you think an existing team switches to Toyota already? But even then, I don't see anybody who has any open seats.
As far as Cup or trucks?
Like just in general, like do you think like for like specifically trucks, I guess for development programs, because it's like everywhere is full and there's no team. So do you think because Kyle Busch is switching to Chevy, do you think there's another team that might be open to switching to Toyota? But then again, it's the same thing. I think they're all full because like the only other team in the Truck Series right now that's even semi-competitive that has a history with Toyota is DGR Crosley, but their doors are full.
Their DGR is sticking with Ford.
Yeah. So
the only one I see maybe is Nice. Actually, no, not even them because they're aligned with Trackhouse.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, so unless Trackhouse switches to Toyota, Nice isn't going to do anything.
I don't think Trackhouse will switch though, because
Because
they
I think
already have an
Nice,
alliance with, I think, RCR.
because Nice is already Chevy's development thing. Because Nice puts a lot of new drivers in their trucks, and so I don't see Nice switching because I think they're Chevrolet's development team.
Yeah. Well, now they'll have two.
Yeah, they do. Woof. Yeah, because I don't see
I mean, as
because
far as
the
like the
Nice is
Cup
already
Series, I would say maybe Colleague.
potentially Colleague racing.
Colleague might switch to Toyota.
Yeah, but Colleague doesn't
Just
have a truck
depends.
team though. They would have to switch their Toyota stuff.
I mean, they have Xfinity and Cup, but yeah, no
No,
trucks.
I know. Yeah, no, they got no trucks, and so I guess I mean Colleague is I guess I could see Colleague doing it, but I think Nice is already too attached to Chevrolet. I mean, they could knock our socks off. We could see an announcement over the off season that says Nice and Trackhouse are switching to Toyota, but it's very unlikely. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what Toyota brings to the plate.
Yeah, Toyota's going to have to make some
'Cause-
big boy money moves here very shortly if they're going to save their development program. Because if they don't
Yeah.
have a development program, then that's pretty much that's going to really hurt the future of Toyota and NASCAR in general if they can't even get development drivers or anything.
Yeah, especially in the trucks. I mean, as far as ARCA, they have Venturini, which they kind of had for a while.
Yeah, but usually
So-
those Venturini drivers graduate to KBM. Now they got nowhere to
Yeah.
go. So it's literally like,
Unless-
because if they could go to Venturini, but after Venturini, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Nice. They're going to go to Junior. They're going to go to DGR. They're going to go to other factory teams because Toyota cannot offer that truck program anymore unless ThorSport starts making some big moves. But even then, I don't see Matt Crafton retiring because he might retire in the next handful of years, but I don't see him retiring like randomly over the offseason. That's the only hope that they would even have to have an open seat in the truck series. So it's like, and all the other ThorSport drivers are still fairly young. Like they still got a lot of years in them, and so it's like, and ThorSport isn't really a development team. Like usually the ThorSport drivers, when you drive for ThorSport, you're at ThorSport until you retire.
Yeah.
Like I haven't really seen drivers from ThorSport graduate upwards. I think ThorSport is just a full-time truck team. I don't think they're a development program. And so that's the
Yeah,
other
I
issue
mean,
Toyota's
unless-
having.
Unless Toyota offers something, I don't see that happening. Cause,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
'cause
saying. Because I didn't even
you've
think
had-
about that till just now.
Yeah, you had Matt Crafton, and you had Johnny Sauter there for so many years. He's left and came back, and then you had Ben Rhodes, who's been there for years.
Grant Enfinger.
I mean, the
Actually,
only-
Grant Enfinger is a recent addition, but even then, I don't see Grant Enfinger leaving anytime soon unless something weird happens.
I mean, the only one I see is Christian Eckes.
Don't they also have Tom Majeski, don't they? Or is Majeski
Yeah.
driving for? Yeah.
So I mean, they have
Woof.
Majeski and Eckes as their pretty much development drivers, but
But even then, 5 trucks. Goddamn. Like, yeah, Toyota's in a interesting spot. We could really
Yeah.
debate on this all day long because there's just so many moving parts here going on.
yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to tell. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen coming. I mean, I guess we'll find out once we get closer to the end of the season, but
I don't even think we're going to find out till during the off season because I think because Toyota was apparently very desperately fighting to keep Kyle Busch until they just couldn't figure anything out, and so
well, I think what I've heard is that they can't. I think they just came to agreement with Kyle saying like, hey, we can't do anything to work with what you got, because I know Kyle said he was willing to, work with him, but I think they just said like, nah, I don't think we can do anything to help you out. So I think that's
Yeah.
when he just started looking for other rides.
yeah, and that's a huge red flag. Do you think there's something else going on with Toyota, and that's the reason why they've been pulling back on a lot of their stuff? Because Toyota used to be a lot more prominent until recent years. They've been pulling back on a lot of teams.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing you have to realize too is like, they didn't have to worry about paying Kyle that much. It was just all sponsors. Sponsors took care of all the money for Kyle. Because the M&Ms pay them, you know, they pretty much paid his whole salary. And, like, you know, Joe Gibbs paid, like, very little. Now it's like you're losing a big sponsor who pretty much paid for everything for you. You're like, oh, shit. We can't afford $20 million a year.
Yeah, no, you can't.
They didn't have to worry about that. They're just like, oh, M&M's has got it. We're good. Now they're, like, struggling to find a huge company that can pay them out. They had one, and then it kind of fell through. And then after that, it just went to crap.
Yeah, so woof. But even just like Toyota in general, they're getting smaller in NASCAR. Whereas they're super competitive teams, but I feel like losing KBM again is going to have that weird ripple effect. So do you think potentially in a wild scenario, do you think Kyle Busch leaving and just completely tanking the Toyota development program, do you think this could lead to other teams leaving Toyota? Do you think we're starting to see Toyota dissolve out of NASCAR?
I don't
because
think
over the
so.
years, if you look at it, they used to have a bigger foothold. Now you're looking at it now. We barely have any Toyota teams these days.
I mean, you still have 2311. You know, they've grown a lot too. So I mean, it's a lot more than what it used to be. Because I mean, if you thought back to not last year but the year before, they didn't have as many teams that were in Toyotas. And even if they did, they were like very small teams, and they were just kind of relying on them to kind of help keep up with the higher performance Toyotas. But I mean, as far as the Xfinity Series, yeah, it's kind of scary because I mean, Joe Gibbs is pretty much the only Toyota out there. But I mean, I could say the same thing as Ford. I mean, Ford, they have like one car in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, maybe but two. They at least have a very strong presence in trucks, and they have a really good presence in Cup.
Yeah, I mean,
that's where the difference
presence
is with Ford.
In the truck series, and then they've always had a presence in the truck series too, even before Cup.
Yeah,
because that's where they kind of started.
That's where I'm kind of worried about Toyota though, is because it's like if you look at other series, like the other manufacturers and stuff, they might roll back some programs, but they have a very heavy presence in other ones. Where it's like, yeah, Ford only has like one Xfinity team, but they have a very heavy presence in the trucks, and they have a very prominent presence in Cup. Whereas you look at Toyota side of things, the only heavy belt truck team is ThorSport. And ThorSport ran Fords for a little bit. They recently moved back to Toyota. Then you look at the Xfinity Series, and it's pretty much just Joe Gibbs because Sam Hunt's still very young, and some of these other teams are just very, very small teams that probably don't even have official backing from Toyota. Then you look at the Cup side of things, and it's just Joe Gibbs in 2311. And so if Kyle Busch leaves and they lose that Toyota development program, you lose Toyota drivers, you lose Toyota backing, there's a chance that we might start seeing Toyota dissolve out of NASCAR and seeing these teams switch over to Fords and Chevys or whatever new manufacturer might come down the line. Because you can only survive so long with such a small plot.
Yeah. I think in the trucks, you'll start to see a small decrease of Toyota drivers because, like you said, I mean, there's no development program for them. So, I mean, you'll still see ThorSport and Toyota, but I feel like you'll start to see other teams kind of go away from Toyota. They'll probably either go to Chevy or Ford. As far as Xfinity, you're not going to see a whole lot. I mean, you'll see, like, you still see, like, a lot of smaller teams like J.J. Haley and MBM. You still have Sam Hunt Racing, but Sam Hunt Racing is pretty much, like, it's always been a one-car team.
Yeah.
And then now you're losing two Xfinity drivers. You're losing Brandon Jones and potentially Ty Gibbs. To where, you know, you might have Sammy Smith, you might not. You might have John Hunter Nemechek, you might have Chandler Smith. So you just
they might be able to hold on to Nemechek and Chandler Smith, but honestly, Sammy Smith being as young as he is and with the Pilot sponsorship and Pilot having a history with Chevy, I honestly feel like there's a very good chance that Sammy Smith ends up a full-time truck driver with Pilot under Chevy next year. So, like, there's another driver, a young driver, that Toyota might lose because they lost Brandon Jones to Chevrolet. They're about to lose potentially Ty Gibbs to the Cup Series, which they'll still be under Toyota, but now he's not in Xfinity. So they'll still have Nemechek and Smith to fall back on, but with no drivers lined up under the Toyota banner aside from Ty Majeski and Christian Eckes, Toyota really doesn't have any other development drivers to fall on. And so when they lose Ty Gibbs or when they eventually lose Chandler Smith or John Nemechek, what they don't have anything in the pipeline right now. They have nothing.
Like, what happens if, like, you know, John Hunter and Chandler Smith say, like, okay, we'll just find we have sponsorship, because I know Chandler Smith has like other sponsors like lined up with not just Safelite, but he has like other sponsors like that can back him up. What if they, you know, tell him, oh, we'll up our sponsorship if you stay with KPM, and he stays there. And then same thing with John Hunter. You know, all of his sponsors came from like Mobile One and like all these other smaller sponsors, and they just said they want to stay with KBM. And
I was gonna say, Mobile One has a history of sponsoring Chevrolet too, because Mobile One used to be a huge sponsor over Stuart Haas.
Yeah. So let's say, like, you know, they don't get Chandler Smith or John Hunter, you're stuck with no drivers pretty much, because if Sammy Smith says, like, I want to stay with KBM, you got nobody.
You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm worried, because there are so many things that could potentially go wrong for Toyota that, and like I said a few minutes ago, you can only survive for so long with such a small crop. And so if that crop continues to diminish, Toyota's not going to be able to stay in NASCAR, because if they can't get drivers, they can't get sponsors, that's going to force the hand for these bigger race teams to make the jump. And when you lose those big race teams, your time is limited. So
yeah, I mean, you kind of saw it too with Joe Gibbs, because it's like you had Daniel Hemrick, and they had one time where like they were just switching off different drivers in the same car because they didn't have anybody else to put in.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's a very weird timeline we're living in currently. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah. We just
I guess only time will tell what happens with Toyota's development program, because right now it's not looking good.
No, it's not. It's kind of looking scary.
Right. So we to try not to dwell on that for too long. Is there anything you want to cover while we're still here?
No, nothing really. I mean, I guess Xfinity. Noah Gragson, 43 wins in a row.
He did.
It's pretty
so
impressive.
Yeah, 3 in a row. Oh, that's another thing. I should have noted this. You reminded me. Thank you for reminding me. You actually told me this yesterday. Whenever Noah Gragson won a race, we had a new winner the next weekend.
Yeah.
The next Cup race. So that's something to look out for, because he won Darlington when Eric Jones won. He went over to Kansas and won it, and then we had Bubba Wallace win. And then he won Bristol 2 nights ago, and then we had another first-time winner with Chris Buescher. So do you think that... So that begs the question. We're definitely going to hit 20 winners. I don't see us not hitting 20 winners and breaking the record, but do you think we can hit 21?
I think so.
You think so?
Actually, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, because we're at that point where we're kind of, you know, we've hit most of the drivers that we already thought would win. But I mean, we still have who else we got? We got Truex. We still got Blaney.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have Talladega too. So. And
you have drivers like Stenhouse who haven't won yet either, and Stenhouse is a beast at Talladega.
Yeah. So only time will tell. But
if everything falls perfectly, we could have like 23 winners this season, because if Stenhouse goes out and he wins Talladega, Blaney's really good on the Roval. Blaney could go win the Roval, and then Truex could possibly win
Martinsville.
Somewhere in between. That'll hit us at 23 winners, and that'll be insane.
Yeah. I mean, we're already tied for it, so we're pretty much guaranteed to make history this year.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna make history no matter what. But how much history can we make is now what we got to ask the question.
Yeah, I think we'll at least get 20.
Yeah, I think we can get to 21. I really do. I'm pretty confident in the fact that we can hit 21, maybe 22. I don't think we're gonna hit 23. Like, I'm just saying that just for shits and giggles, but we can definitely hit 21, and I would not be surprised if we get 22.
22, yeah. It's just
Because,
so hard to
like
tell.
you said, we have some.
Everything's just been so unpredictable.
Yeah. So, woof. So, apart from all the complaints about the safety of the next gen, the performance of the actual race car has been incredible. It's just there's just a few things we got to work out in terms of the safety of the car
And the reliability.
and reliability. Yeah, because like Kevin Harvick said and Martin Truex said, these crappy ass parts ain't gonna cut it. So.
Yeah. Because like they said it earlier in the year, like they're only limited to like 10 cars. And then
Yeah,
now
because
you're
that's something
starting
I
to
forgot
see
about.
like parts break off, wear out. So it's just
So I understand NASCAR trying to cut costs for these race teams, but I feel like there are some places you can't cut costs, and that comes down to the safety of the race car. Because if you're cutting costs on safety, then that is where we have issues like we have with the Fords bursting into flames and the suspension just falling apart when you breathe on it. So it's like now those cost cutting measures are coming back to bite us in the ass.
yeah. But I mean, they still have the off season to kind of work on that stuff. So I think some of it will be fixed. I don't think all of it's going to be fixed, but I think we'll start to see some improvements next year. So, but I mean, there's just a whole list of things that drivers are saying that they need to work on. So, I mean, it's just a matter of like what they want to prioritize. But I think they should prioritize like the safety of it.
Yeah.
I know short tracks have been questionable because I mean you kind of saw today. I mean without the mayhem, there wasn't a lot of passing. It was just kind of like the whole Martinsville thing. So
yeah. So Bristol was like the textbook definition of like bittersweet because it's like the only thing that kept the race entertaining was the fact that everybody was falling apart, but it shouldn't take everybody falling apart to give that unpredictability to have a good race. Because if the cars had held up, it would have been a freight train Bristol race, and that would have been boring. But because everybody was falling apart and having issues, that's what kept the race entertaining, and that's kind of where it's bittersweet, where it's like it kept us on the edge of our seat. So as like a spectator, I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? But at the same time, it's like we shouldn't rely on cars falling apart for an entertaining race to keep us on our toes. We should be able to expect the cars and the drivers to showcase their abilities to give an entertaining race. We shouldn't have to rely on somebody blowing a tire in a restart to have a good race.
Having mechanical issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of where I sit. So anything I'm forgetting? Because I didn't write anything down and I should have.
I kind of felt bad for the Truck Series and ARCA because they kind of had a pretty boring race. I mean, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of passing in the Cup Series, but when they put the PJ one, a lot of drivers were complaining, saying that no, they couldn't pass. There was just like one groove lane, and I remember like watching some highlights of it, and I think Parker Kligerman, he had like he had like one of the fastest trucks, and then I think he started on the outside, and then he just got stuck on the outside line, and he couldn't pass. And nobody will let him in because they knew that you could not pass on the outside. You can only pass on the inside. So he just got like freight trained all the way to the back.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the PJ one too. It's like, what happened? Why can't we just let the groove form itself? Because that's also what used to be so fun about watching some of these older races before we had the PJ one. Is like watching the grooves form over the duration of a race. Because it's like you can't have obviously not every single race is going to be an amazing race. It's like you're going to have a snooze fest here and there. It's unavoidable. That's just when you run 36 races or however many races we run in a season, it's unavoidable that a handful of them are going to be super forgettable.
Yeah, but you just can't put like artificial lines, especially something at Bristol. Just let it be.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying too, because that's the other issue NASCAR is having. It's like, just accept the fact that not every race is going to be a barn burner. Like, you're going to have a snooze fest every once in a while. It happens. it's universal to every single sport in existence. Not every game, not every race, not every event is gonna be spectacular. You're gonna have one that it's like, well, fuck this. I could have stayed home for this one, but that's just part of how it is.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for like the duration of the race. It's like the entire race from start to finish doesn't have to be you clenching to the edge of your seat exciting, because, and I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put the PJ1 down to put new lines in right from the get-go to get that excitement from the start. It's like, no, part of the excitement of a race is to watch everything develop as the race progresses. Wow, that was difficult for me to say for some reason. But like that's part of why I fell in love with NASCAR to begin with. Is like before all the PJ1 stuff, it was fun to watch how the track would change and how the cars would shift and everything. But if you're dumping all the sticky shit out on the track, what you're doing is you're creating a one groove racetrack. You're not creating different lines. You're just creating a freight train on wherever the PJ1 is, and I think that's also ultimately really what killed Texas. Is I feel like what Texas did wasn't a terrible idea, but because of the addition of all the PJ1, it made it exclusively a one groove racetrack. Because if you got out of the PJ1, you were just sliding up the hill. So there was no chance to even kind of create grooves naturally, because everybody was like, I'm just gonna run the PJ1 because if I get out of the PJ1, I'm gonna crash. And so there wasn't even an opportunity to create a second groove, because NASCAR artificially put in the one groove and then just left it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like. It's a one groove. I mean, something like Texas, where it's like they tried to put a new groove in. I mean, it didn't really work, but Bristol, I don't know. Like I said, it's just trying to artificially create excitement. It's not ideal, because I mean, when you go to a race, I mean, like you said, it's when you go to like any sporting event, you're gonna have some games where it's like really boring. Like teams are not gonna score as much, so it's just gonna be a boring game. But you're gonna have some games where it's like, it's a really exciting close game where it came down maybe to like a couple points. But that's just how it is. Like you want that natural excitement. You don't want it just to be like, oh, like you expect it to be exciting, It's just kind of like how it is.
Yeah, because also when you expect it to be exciting and then it's not, it also drives more disappointment. Because here's the other thing too. It goes back to The Incredibles. Remember Syndrome? His whole thing was like, if everyone's super, no one's super. And so that's kind of comes back to this NASCAR thing, where it's like if every race is a barn burner, if every single race is super exciting, you're going to get numb to that after a while. And then nothing's going to be exciting anymore, which is why I like that natural excitement, because it's the same thing. It's like mile and a halves, they're not always the most exciting races to watch, but sometimes you'll get them out like Vegas. Like Vegas is one of those races where everybody shows up and they're kind of like, oh, it's a mile and a half. And then the race happens and everyone's like blown away. It's like, holy shit, that was an amazing race.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what we need. We need like, not necessarily, we need that natural excitement. That unexpected excitement is what makes it so much fun. It's the same thing when you go to like a football game or a soccer game or anything really. It's like if you show up just trying to have a good time, but then it turns out that event that you went to was just fucking spectacular and you weren't expecting it to be. That's what makes it so much more fun. That's why a lot of these races, especially when you go back through NASCAR history, that's why some of the races that we remember, some of the finishes we remember them because nobody was ready for what happened to happen. And I feel like recently, because we're trying to so hard to manufacture all these Game 7 moments, that we're not remembering these races anymore in recent years, because every single race is like that. And so nothing stands out anymore.
Yeah.
Like occasionally you'll have something pop and happen, but like when every single week is the same, it's, it kind of drags out. It's less memorable.
It's like the whole Final Four thing.
Your audio got really muffled for me for some reason.
Oh, oops. Sorry.
There you are. Hello. Welcome
I was
back.
Just saying, like, it's kind of like, the Final Four, where it's just like, you always expect it to be, the Final Four. Or like, you go back to 2011? When Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards were battling for the championship, and it came down to, like, literally, like, where they finished.
Yeah.
And then Tony Stewart pretty much had to win the race to win the championship. So
yes, stuff like that's exciting too.
Yeah, something like that. It's exciting because like you're not expecting it. To where
So
like if you go to like the final four, you're just like, I mean, I guess I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but
well, I mean, for me, it's like I understand what NASCAR was doing with the Final Four because like, oh, we're guaranteed 4 drivers in the championship, and whoever can win. But the also huge flaw there is that like you could literally show up to the Final Four and like blow a tire on lap one and have zero chance to win the championship because now it's just like you have to finish in front of everybody else. Whereas like, and on top of that, some people did. I poke around sometimes, and I don't remember what year it was, but there was a couple years ago where the truck championship, because of the way NASCAR had it set, only 4 drivers could run for the championship, but somebody ran the season-long points with no playoffs, and the truck championship that year would have come down to like 6 drivers mathematically could have won, and like the top 5 were like within less than 10 points of each other.
yeah,
And like that's way more exciting to watch than having 4 drivers be like, oh, whoever finishes first wins. It's like I hate that. I hate that because it's like I like seeing the gears turning on all the strategy, and there's not saying that there is no strategy, but it kind of takes away from the points racing and the relaxed racing that comes with season-long championships than it does with, oh, well, now there's 4 of you, and whoever finishes the highest wins. Because it's like, what's stopping me from just wrecking the other 3 people? Like,
yeah.
what are you going to do? You can't.
But I mean, I can kind of see why they do it too. Because like I look at Formula One, like last year, they had a really amazing like season because like it came down to like the last race. But there's some races where it's like the driver like won the championship like 4 or 5 races before their season was over.
Yeah, and that also comes back to what I was saying earlier with the races and stuff, where it's just like not all of them can be super exciting, and I think that's where NASCAR is missing the boat, where it's like in order to have excitement, you need to have shitty, boring things to happen, because that's why that's why me personally, I keep forgetting a lot of these championship races because like they're all the same thing. They're all winner take all Final Four things. We don't really, for me anyway, a lot of these championships haven't really been memorable because it's like we're all expecting the same thing. It's like, no, we don't know who's going to win the championship, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. It's difficult to explain what I'm feeling about it. I just know I'm not a huge fan of it.
I feel like this year it's a lot better because like you have, last year with the package and everything, it's like, as long as like you won a race and you're dominant, you're pretty much guaranteed. Like Carl Larson, he was already the favorite to make the Final Four. Now like this year, it's like with the car being so like balanced, like nobody has an advantage. You don't know who's gonna make it because like you could have. Like I mean, look at last week. Like Bubba Wallace, he had the most dominant car, and then this week he just had a mechanical issue, and then he's already out. Or like Ryan Blaney, he could be like dominant one week, and then he could just have like a terrible car and just like be like top 15, top 20. It's just It's just I mean I feel like this year it's a lot. I feel like it flows a lot better compared to last year with like the old generation car, as far as like it being like very competitive compared to like somebody can just run away with the lead and just have like a 5-second lead on the whole field.
Yeah, so I will eat my words with that one. I will say this year's championship I'm actually very excited for because it's like we have no idea what's going to happen. But even then, even if we took away the playoffs, we had a full point system, I think Chase Elliott would be running away with the championship because he's just been consistent. But at the same time, it's like the season itself has been just fucking insane. But so this is one of those rare scenarios where I feel like the elimination format, it still doesn't work because I still don't like it. And I feel like Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex almost missing the playoffs is a perfect example of that. Like we had 2 very consistent drivers all year long and one of them not make the playoffs. And I feel like that is a huge flaw in the system. It always has been. But I don't know what I'm saying. My brain kind of turned off right now. But
No, but it's like, I kind of see what you're saying. Like, two guys have been like running consistent. Who have been like, staying clean, or in danger of just like not making the playoffs. But I think it just kind of
oh
puts
yeah,
more.
I remember what I was saying.
Oh, go ahead.
So I mean to cut you off, but I remembered. So it's one of those things where it's like this is still my love-hate relationship with this playoff system, and it's mostly hate because I've never liked it. But it's one of those things where it's like I love the unpredictability that this new car is bringing because it's like you were saying, someone new was up front every weekend. It's like every weekend there's something new happening. There's a new driver up front, like a driver who dominated like last 2 weekends now comes into this new weekend and just hasn't even appeared in the top 10. So it's like I love that in terms of like racing. But when it comes to a championship, this format doesn't work with that because, like we saw with Kyle Busch, he wasn't an amazing car all season, but he showed a lot of consistency, and then he had 2 engine failures and a flat tire that completely took him out of a championship. We have a lot of drivers like that too, where it's like Ryan Blaney was super consistent all season long, almost didn't even make the playoffs. Like his fate was very unknown, and to be in the top 3 in points all season long, to then come down to not knowing if you're even going to be a part of the playoffs shouldn't even be a question. And so like it's one of those things where it's like I really don't like this playoff system for things like that because it's like I feel like if you're consistent enough, you deserve to run for a chance in a championship because that's part of the beauty of motorsports. It's not always the fastest car that wins. It's going to be the car and the team and the driver that can hammer out the best strategy, the be most consistent all season long, which is why I'm fine with Chase Elliott winning the regular season championship because it's like he hasn't won the most races, he hasn't really been the most dominant car, but he's shown the most consistency. He earned all those points. He was up front when he needed to be up front. He stayed out of trouble. He was a very consistent driver all season long, so he earned that regular season title. And so if he can continue all that consistency, I can see him making it to the Final Four. But it's also part of that is creating the wiggle room for when you have those problems. Because whereas Kyle Busch hasn't been winning a lot, he was consistent up until recently. Like if you look at his finishes through the season, yeah, he's got some bad finishes, but he's got a lot of top 10s in there. He's got a lot of good finishes. But he had a string of 3 races that completely took him out of the playoffs. And I just feel like these drivers should have a chance to bounce back because a huge difference between stick and ball sports and motorsports is that there's a lot that is completely out of your control that you cannot come back from if it happens. Like football or soccer per se, if one of your players gets hurt, you can just kind of throw somebody back in, like your backup in. If the opposing team throws some wild-ass play that you weren't prepared for, you have a few minutes to recalculate yourself and hammer back at it. With motorsports, you don't get chance number 2. If you go out there and you smear your car up against the wall and you break it, you're done. You go out there and you put a hole in the radiator and you blow the engine, you're done. You go out there and you get caught in somebody else's crash, you're done. You don't come back from those things. And I feel like that's why it's important to have like these more season-long championships because it gives those teams a chance to have things to fall back on. Like you could go and you could win 2 races. You could do Noah Gragson. You could win 3 races in a row, put together like 3 more top 5s, and then if you have 1 or 2 really bad races where you get caught up in a wreck or you blow an engine, you have done all of your consistent things to kind of fall back on and give you a little bit of leeway. Whereas with this elimination format, you could do what Noah Gragson's doing right now. You could win 3 races in a row. You could follow it up with like 2 top 5s. And then you could pull the Kyle Busch, blow 2 engines, and then be completely out of a chance for a championship. And that's where I don't like it. Where it's like,
I feel like in that situation though, like you still have a good chance. Like look at Chase Elliott. Like he won the regular season playoff, and
yeah,
he came into Darlington, finished dead last, gained no stage points at all. But he still made his way through the round of 12. And even like he still had some pretty bad finishes, but I think he still was able to lock in. I mean it's not at a point where it's like 2020 when Kevin Harvick, he won the regular season playoffs and then just, completely just missed it every single race, and then, came down to Martinsville and he missed it. I think in
Yeah.
that circumstances, like when people were like upset that he missed the Final Four, in a way, it's like he was just kind of inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, I
It
mean,
came
that's
down to the
understandable,
playoffs because
but
like
I'm talking about like when drivers are heavily consistent, like which is why I feel like this year's playoff system is a little bit different now because we have all the stage points and everything. So I will say it's a lot better than it was in previous years because
I mean
it is rewarding consistency a little bit more. But you can
yeah.
kind of see where I'm like, bleh, with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like Ryan Blaney, he was still pretty consistent. And I mean, even though he was eighth, he still made the playoffs. He was kind of in a spot where it's like he would have to completely just throw his race away, but he still managed to make the round of 12.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's where I go back. Where I still very much have a love-hate relationship with this playoff format, and it is mostly hate. I just can't with it. I don't. I really don't. I'm not even entirely sure. I know why I don't like it, but I also don't know why I don't like it because it's like it's good and bad. It has its pros, it has its cons, but just for me as a race fan for the last like 11, 12 years of my life, I just can't do it with this playoff system. I'm just not a fan. I just generally just in general, I'm not a huge fan. I understand what NASCAR is trying to do. I understand that there is some excitement to it, but just as a general playoff format for auto racing, I'm not a big fan of the bracket style stuff for this kind of racing.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, when I look at it now, I hate to say it, but it's like looking at the four drivers that got eliminated from the playoffs. You have Kyle, Reddick, Dylan, and Harvick. Dylan, I'm not surprised. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm not surprised. I mean, everybody saw it coming when he won Daytona. Like, all right, cool. Like, he's going to be eliminated in the first round. Kyle, it's like, the way his season has gone, I wouldn't have been surprised. Just how many issues he's had. I mean, even like when it came to Darlington, I'm like, this is not looking good. This is not what he needed. And it's like, he got stage points, he got all that, but just the finish, he did terrible. He ended up finishing like all the way in the back, like 3 races in a row. So I think Kansas he finished like 22nd or 23rd.
Mm-hmm. But that goes back to my other argument. Things out of his control.
Yeah, but I mean that's just how it is because I mean it's just like he's had that the whole entire season. It wasn't just in the playoffs, but it's just like you think about
it was all season.
You think about like Richmond, he had a dominant car and then had that tape penalty. Vegas, he was leading the race, about to win it. Caution came down to pit stop strategy. Pocono had a top 2 car. This got disqualified. It's just like a number of races where it's like he's been dominant and had like consistency, but he just could not close the deal. And then just with Reddick too, it's like look at this week and last week. It's like he had damage this race. He was like 20 laps down, and the Kansas, he had that he was leading and then just completely took the wall down at Kansas and then just killed his race. And then let's see at Darlington. Darlington, he had a 3rd place run, but those 2 bad finishes, just took him out. Harvick, he had a really bad finish at Kansas. He knocked the wall down
the car at Kansas.
Yeah, he pretty much knocked the wall down and took himself out of the race. And even Darlington, his car caught on fire. Car bursted into flames, and he finished all the way in the back. And then he came to Bristol, where he was pretty much in a must-win. Technically he didn't have to, but he pretty much had to, like in his eye. And then
mathematically wasn't a must-win, but in order for him to get into the next round, he would have needed. Yeah, like what. He needed to win both stages and finish like 2nd.
Yeah.
And so basically a must win. Okay, well, all right. So audience, Chris has disappeared from the thing because his audio decided it wanted to stop recording. And so sorry, Chris. I can still hear Chris because I'm on the phone with him, but the audience can't. So I guess this is the point of the video where we're going to wrap it up. I did not know that your thing had a... We're going to have to mess with your settings because it shouldn't just stop recording randomly. Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in if you've even made it this long. For those of you who are listening at this point, thank you so much for dealing with our rants. Make sure to go check out our website once again, DonahueVargasRacing.com. We also have a Twitter page we're trying to be more active on at Donahue_Vargas on Twitter. And, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other content that we have. And hopefully we'll see you guys after... Where the fuck are we next week? I've already forgotten. Texas. We'll see you guys after Texas. All right.